Thanks, worship team. Miss you. I do like to do that. I do. I've been playing. I was probably, I don't know, 13. Dad, when was this? There was some. My dad played at church for a long time. He played at the band, but at a church for a long time. And then I still remember that Sunday. I don't remember if he was going to be out of town or maybe. I don't think so. But like something happened to where he's like, okay, well, next Sunday it's going to be you. And back then, it was just like, the synthesizer, if you remember those things where like you press play, press the intro. You basically are the band. You're the band. There's not, like, you don't rely on anything else. You're the band. I guess not that much different than I do here. But anyway, the point is, like, it just happened. Dad's like, all right, it's going to be you. And somehow I never stopped. I literally never stopped. Like, I went away to college. I played in college. We were at a part of a church there. I played there. Just something that I don't like do this for a living, I have a day job. This is just fun. And then it's just a way to connect with the community, with the body of Christ. So Christina, where are you? You are onto something good. I hope you'll tell the story of me 10 years from today. This dude just said, come on, you're playing next Sunday. Anyway. Okay. First picture, will you? Who can tell me what this is? Or this. Let's go to the next one. Yeah. Yeah, maybe like some of it was crystal, some of it not. But at the end of the day, did you have a fine china cabinet growing up in your dining room? Here's what ours looked like. Next. No, one more. In the back. So that's the best I could find. I did my best. This is my sister doing Olivier or cutting Olivier. But I needed the fine china cabinet. So Deutsche, you're welcome. Your 2 minutes of fame. And if you're like most, like this is the stuff that pretty much never really got used. We saved it for the special occasion. But like those special occasions were like few and far between. So like we rarely used our very best. For the most part, we just kind of looked at it, and people looked at it. We enjoyed it with our eyes, but never quite put it into practice. Like, I actually don't remember a single time. Maybe, Mom, maybe. I'll give you 5, but I don't remember a single time that I've actually used that treasured possession. And I think just like with fine china, we often have this same kind of attitude about a lot of things in life. Like we save our best outfits, our best words, our best attitudes, our best version of ourselves for somebody someday, living as if tomorrow was promised, living as if our days on earth are not numbered. So today, I want to talk to you about this idea of living life as if our days were numbered. Because they are, right? Psalm 90, David writes, teach us, Lord, to number our days. Because if we really lived as if our days were numbered, I think we'd use our china. And we'd use it. If I knew that tomorrow's my day, you better believe that sucker's coming out and I'm gonna feast. But often, that's not how we approach life. So we live very casually. We live very loosely. So we store up the fine chinas as if tomorrow was promised. Like, what's the point of it if we don't use it? So here's the question. If tomorrow isn't promised, how does that change the way I live today? As a kid, it was probably 6th or 7th grade that I made my YouTube account, my eBay account, and for my username, I have proof. I literally picked "I'll live forever" as my username. And get this, I had to double up on the V because some schmuck already took the single V. So like I wasn't the only one thinking like this. Like we're invincible when we're young. And as a kid, it sure feels like that though. Like we're gonna live forever. But as we age, as we grow up, with every passing year, the older I get, the faster it seems time flies. Like I remember village time. I remember village vacations, out of school, June, July, August. I remember those feeling like eternity. Like I literally remember, like it's as if we went to school for a year and then we took vacation for a year. That's literally what it felt like. And like intuitively, we know though, like we still, everyone, we've always worked with just 24 hours a day, and we have 365 days a week. But what's different? Like, why is it that as a kid, it seemed so much longer than now? So, as adults, we just see things differently. So if there's a way that a kid perceives time, and then there's a way that an adult perceives time, could it be that God perceives time differently too? It's a good question because we know with the Lord, one day is 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is one day. Like, I actually don't even know what that means, but it has to mean something, right? It's in there. So there is a way that God perceives time versus how we perceive time. Go back with me to Psalm 90, a few verses before that, verse 10. David is talking to God. He says, "The length of our days is 70, or 80 if you have the strength. Yet their span is but trouble and sorrow, for they pass quickly and we fly away. If only we knew the power of your anger, Lord. Your wrath is as great as the fear that is due. Teach us, Lord, to number our days." I think the phrase, "teach us, Lord, to number our days," encourages us to be aware of the limited time we have here on earth, to prioritize what truly matters in our life and make the most of the time we have. Why wait for tomorrow? Like when tomorrow's not promised, why do we so often wait for tomorrow to get my life in order? Why not let go of anger, unforgiveness? Why hold that for tomorrow? I'm not calling that our best, don't get me wrong, but that's the attitude we often have. I'll forgive him tomorrow. I'll say I love you tomorrow. And tomorrow, tragically, sometimes never comes. Ephesians 5:15 says, "Therefore be careful how you walk, not as unwise, but as wise, making the most of your time." So are we being careful with the time that we've been given? Are we being careful? Are we aware? Yeah, are we being aware? Are we maximizing the time that we have to do the most good? We often confuse making the most of our time to mean like to be like a money conversation, because we're used to, like, time is money, so we're paid per hour in our jobs. So if time is money, sometimes we think money is time, and that's just not true. Like, you could always make more money, but you can't make more time. So a lot of times in our life, the precious time that we have is thrown at something to just gain more money, and that is sort of the fallacy of it all, I think. And often it takes a tragic often it takes a tragedy for someone to really get their lives straight. And that's sad, because we all heard of a story, at least a story, of someone who has been diagnosed with a terminally ill condition, or just like they knew that they have cancer, they're gonna die, and all of a sudden their brain is thinking, how do I get my life in order? How do I prioritize what is truly important? And what I think is sad about that whole thing is that, like, we believe our doctors more than like we believe when we read it in the scripture. We believe when the doctor says, 3 to 6 months, brother, that's your expiration date. And oftentimes we're like moving mountains to make the most out of our life at that time, completely having neglected it all our life. I think one of the keys to living life as if our days were numbered is becoming keenly aware of our mortality. Like, what does it mean, of our mortality? Simply that we're gonna die. We're not here forever. So my friend, like, I want to remind you this truth, and in the most loving way that I can, that, like, we ain't here forever. Like, we too have an expiration date. So why not get uber urgent about your life today? Why wait for the catastrophe? Why wait for the world to give us some sort of an expiration date? Why wait? The other day I saw a video about this motivational speaker. So a reporter comes up to him, and she's like, Gary, in 3 words, give me in 3 words something for inspiration on the days that I feel down. And he looks at her and says, you're gonna die. And like the knee-jerk reaction is like, oh, that's not too inspiring, Gary. But like the truth is, I think it's kind of brilliant. Like, it can be interpreted as a very positive and empowering way to motivate ourselves to do the extraordinary thing today. Because the thought of our dying is the ultimate motivator. Like, it's the thing for which you will take action immediately. So I think one of the ways to sort of fast lane your way into thinking rightly about life is by thinking about your very own mortality. What's really important to me today, so I can make the most of it today, making the main thing the main thing. There's a story in a New Testament, and it's almost a little too strong. It's a parable of the rich fool. This is Luke 12:16. I'm going to read it. And this is Jesus, and he told this parable. The ground of a certain rich man yielded an abundant harvest. That's good. He thought to himself, what should I do? I have no place to store up my crops. Then he said this to himself. This is what I'll do. I will tear down my barn and build a bigger one, and there I will store up my surplus again, and I'll say to myself, you have plenty of grain left laid up for many years. Take it easy. Take life easy. Eat, drink, and be merry. But God said to him, you fool, this very night your life will be demanded from you. Then who will get what you've prepared for yourself? This is how it'll be for whoever stores up the things for themselves, but is not rich toward God. I mean, in this parable, like, the guy decides what? Just to build a bigger barn. I mean, he's become more successful. He decided to get a bigger barn. He's not doing anything sinful per se, but God rebukes that mindset for thinking that tomorrow is promised to him. He thought he had so many years of comfort and prosperity ahead of him. He focused on storing up the earthly treasures over the heavenly. So God rebukes him, saying, you fool, this very night your life will be demanded from you. I did some research, and these stats are a little disturbing. Did you know that every night, nearly 90,000 people never wake up from their sleep? Here's the kicker, for like no reason at all. These are normal people like you and I, minding their business. This doesn't include pandemics. This doesn't include car accidents. These are normal people. 90,000 of them never wake up. Looking at this year alone, 2023, the world death rate per day is 166,000 people a day. That's almost 7,000 per hour, which is literally 100 people a second. A minute. Still insane. Like, let that sink in. I think nothing wakes us up to living life as our days are numbered, like when we think about the fact that me, you, gonna die. So is it just another day today? No, it's not just another day. You woke up. I woke up. Like, you're alive. I feel like I hear this all the time. Як дела? Потрошки. Like, no, you're on the giant rock, planet Earth. Like, you're floating in space around this ball of fire that's like 1 million times our size, and you're floating around it like 67 million hours an hour. And here we are. No, it's not just another day. It's not Patroshki. It's kind of a miracle. It's actually a miracle. I mean, we don't think about this, but I hope that you take the time to, like, let the gravity of the truth, like, rattle your cage a little bit. I feel like as Christians, we are called to the uncomfortable territories of life. I think, and death is quite morbid, and I feel like that's why the psalmist calls us to this, because it does something inside of us. So it's a bit of a morbid sermon. I think we're not going to have another one of these for a decade. So let it rattle you a little. At least take an ounce of what is said. This is literal fact. 90,000 people never wake up. It's bananas. Yet here we are. Back to Psalm 90. Teach us, Lord, to number our days. And what's the second part of the verse? That we may gain the heart of wisdom. So in numbering our days, we gain wisdom. You want wisdom? Cool. You want to know how? Number your days. I literally almost brought, but I forgot. I have this chart. It's literally called a life table. Google it, just for kicks. There's a life table that you can print. There's a bunch of like little boxes. It's all divided into weeks. And it's meant for anyone who just wants a visual of their life to be able to, like, by your age, just take however many weeks you are old, and then you'll just highlight those boxes. And then when you're done with it, on the picture, you'll see, and it just goes to 99, I think. It goes to 99. And like on one page, you'll see, like, I'm like, what, third? I'm like third highlighted. Like some of you are, not many of you, some of you are much down, like much lower down the brackets. And I think there's something to be said for thinking about the very end of you. In the book of Ecclesiastes, King Solomon, known for his wisdom, addresses this idea of life being fragile and that death is inevitable. This is Ecclesiastes 7:7. It is better to go to the house of mourning than to the house of feasting, for death is the destiny of everyone. The living should take this to heart. Frustration is better than laughter, because a sad face is good for the heart. The heart of the wise is in the house of mourning, but the heart of the fools is in the house of pleasure. King Solomon suggests that reflecting on death can lead to wisdom. He wants us to consider just how short our life is, and to not be consumed by the pursuit of the worldly pleasure. In essence, He's suggesting that contemplating on our mortality, our dying, can help us prioritize what truly matters. The polls are in, and stats didn't change. 10 out of 10 people still die. Yep, you're not getting out of this thing alive, no matter what you do. So let that rattle your cage. Some months ago now, on Tuesdays, I introduced the small group there. Well, as I was reading through the book, I was just sharing some thoughts. And it's around this book that I read by Bonnie Ware, an Australian nurse who works in hospice care type setting. This is with people who are up to 12 weeks have to live. And she started asking her clients about the regrets that they have. And eventually she started noticing a pattern with each of these patients. So she wrote a book. And here's an excerpt. For many years, I worked with people with serious illness. My patients were those who had gone home to die. Some incredibly special times were shared. I was with them for the last 3 to 12 weeks of their life. People grow a lot when they're faced with their own mortality. I learned never to underestimate someone's capacity for growth. Some changes were phenomenal. Each experienced a variety of emotions as expected. Denial, anger, remorse, fear, more denial, eventually acceptance. Every single patient found their peace before they departed, though. Every one of them. When questioned about any regrets that they had, or anything they would do differently, common themes surfaced again and again. And the second, not the first, the second biggest regret on the list surprised me, maybe because it strung a chord, and it was, I wish I hadn't worked so hard. Because most of us work hard on our jobs, and we're kind of proud of it. But did you know that'll be at the top of the things that you regret most? Every day we spend our life on the treadmill of our jobs and careers, chasing the Joneses. We miss valuable time with our families, so we fail to value and appreciate the most important things of our life. We often fail to see just how good we have it. Several Thanksgivings ago, I was talking to this a grandpa of a friend, and I haven't seen him in a while. So, and just in speaking to him, I just was picking up a lot of negativity. So I remember very intentionally, kind of finding my space and kind of looking for any sort of hope, any sort of, in his words, any sort of light, any sort of positivity. And I remember drawing a blank. So I literally interrupted and I said, can we talk about something else? Tell me this. He's in his 90s, mind you. And I asked him, can you tell me about one of your happiest memories? And he took a long pause. And he said, I can't remember. Not even one. Not even one. And I just remember seeing myself in that, because that's the human condition, right? That's us sometimes. We regret to see the good things in our life all the time. We look past the small, seemingly insignificant things that basically are the sum of our life. Because we know, life isn't necessarily made up of these large, gigantic events. It's the small stuff packed together. That's my life. So make sure you pause and smell the roses. Man, life is passing by. Back to the book. Now, the number one regret, was I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself and not the life others expected of me. I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself and not the life others expected of me. This is the wisdom for many, many people on their deathbeds, and we can't afford to miss it. So think what that might mean for you, like your dreams, your ambitions, like the potential inside of you, like the adventure that you are dying to take. So America is known for like, oh, when I retire, I'm gonna do everything that I wanted to do. But who promised you retirement? Nobody. I like how this one preacher put it. The wealthiest place in the world is not the gold mines of South Africa or the oil fields in Iraq or Iran. They are not even the diamond mines of South Africa or the banks of the world. The wealthiest place on the planet is just on the road. It's the cemetery. There lie buried companies that never started, inventions that were never made, best-selling books that were never written, masterpieces that were never painted. In the cemetery, is buried the greatest treasure of untapped potential. This was Miles Monroe, if you know him, famous preacher. And what's odd or crazy is that, like, in line with today's message, like, Miles, was like flying to his home in Bermuda, like on his private airplane or helicopter, and the thing just crashed. This was like, 5-10 years ago? I remember, because I know Miles. He actually came to ORU, where I was going to school. And like, very reputable and respected preacher. And this was awesome. I mean, this was, I forget where and when I read this, but that's irrelevant. What's in line with today's message is the very guy. And I mean, I'm guessing his life, he left it on the field. Like he was powerful for Christ. So life is fragile. Don't waste it. And here's the complete list of the 5 regrets from the book. By the way, you can buy the book on Amazon. It's Bonnie Ware, The Regrets of Dying. The Regrets of Dying by Bonnie Ware, if you're interested. This was the number 1. We went over it, but I'll do it again. I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself and not the life others expect of me, number 1. Number 2, I wish I hadn't worked so hard. Number 3, I wish I had the courage to express my feelings. Thing that hits home with the guys. Number 4, I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. Number 5, I wish I had let myself be happier. Yeah, and we may all be very different, but we're a lot more alike than we are different. So if this is the song so many sing on their deathbeds, chances are good it's a song that you'll sing and I sing. So can we do something about maybe changing that tune today? Can we do something about changing that tune today? Teach us, Lord, to number our days that we may gain a heart of wisdom. Worship team, you can come up. I think death is so sanitized from our society, but I think it's good for the soul to be reminded of the mortality. It quickly gives a different kind of perspective. I know a guy who walks to the cemetery every morning for work, not to see anybody in particular. He just likes what that does to his day. Like, walks to work through the cemetery. Yeah, it's morbid, but it's genius. So the other day, it's the first time. My grandma died in 2015. I went to see her grave. I didn't fly back for her funeral ceremony. I didn't fly back for that. She was a good grandma. So I went to her grave, and I just stood there like
I just stood there, and I thought about even like her life. I wonder what she regretted. Сельская жизнь maybe was a little different, but I bet it was also so similar. So many tombstones. As I was looking around, they had this wording: I fought the good fight. I had finished the race. I have kept my faith. I just noticed that to be a pattern on so many tombs. Are they called tombs? I think. And that's what we want to believe. And that's what I hope someone would think when they look at my life, at my tomb. There's this expression that a lot of times on the court in sports is used, and it's this idea of leaving everything on the court. It means players giving everything they can to win the game. So run in such a way as to get the prize. So be reminded today, friend, that you're not here forever. Do everything you want to do today. Tomorrow's not promised. Why wait? What's the point? Who are you tricking? No one's paying attention to you. We fail to do so many things in life thinking like, oh, what are they going to think about me? People don't think about you. People just think about themselves. They're so busy thinking about themselves, they literally hardly think about what you think about them. Yet we give that so much of our attention. Regret is just, they say regret is among the toughest pill to swallow. Like, what does that mean, like in practice? Like, you can't do anything with it. You just feel it. You can't do anything with it. But today, some of us, maybe not all, maybe two of you, need this reminder. Like, hey, I don't want to live with regret. Let me prepare for that. Why not take my faith seriously today? I mean, going to church is cute, singing songs, it's nice, I got a community. But sometimes, we hide behind that all and we forget the person. We forget the person. I mean, it's cool and all to have a community, to have friends, but man, if it ain't about Jesus, go home. Like, what are we doing here? So I hope that today simply as a reminder that you too have an expiration date. And it's time to think about our life seriously. So be reminded today, do everything you want to do today. Because tomorrow's not even promised. Who knows if it's coming? So be the kind of person you want to be remembered for. Empty yourself. I say the phrase all the time, empty yourself. And I literally mean that, empty yourself. I come to Tuesday prayer, and there's always that little voice that says, well, make sure you don't give your best stuff here. Save your best for Sunday. But I always push the wind. No, this is my best. This is my best. If 3 people hear it, cool. If 2, cool. But tomorrow ain't promised. I mean, forgiveness. I know forgiveness is a big topic. I'm so glad it doesn't touch my family. But I know among families, there's so much. Dad doesn't talk to his son, or sister to sister. They haven't spoken in years because of some dumb little thing that just cracked the whole relationship. Come on, it's not worth it. So if there's anybody here, like, do yours, not me, do yourself a favor, make that call. Like, be the bigger person. Be the bigger person all the time. So leave it all on the court. Love, all the love you have, give it away. Generosity, yeah, stuff, give it away. Don't let yourself expire full, like rich, and leave it at the cemetery. Don't let that be you. So reconcile today, for the days are short. So use your china, ladies and gentlemen. And in knowing our days are numbered, let's make the most of them today. Savannah knows I'm so big on today. Like, she's so quick to say, oh, tomorrow. And it's like, love you so much, but man, today, if you can do it in a minute, oh my gosh, do it right now. Can we stand?